Hello, this is Clive Hook from Clearworth, welcoming you to another Clearworth FasterClass in our Behavioural Intelligence series, where we're going to look at Secrets of Successful Negotiators, Part 1. Here we're going to look at consciously controlling your behaviour and increasing your authority and presence in negotiations. This topic and others form part of our leadership programme, 5 Fundamental Questions for Leaders, and our intention is, in under 10 minutes, to both introduce you to how we work in Clearworth on these topics, but also perhaps give you the opportunity to review and develop some of your own skills. In Clearworth, when we talk about behavioural intelligence, we look particularly at impact and influence, authority and presence, conversation control, and powerful presentations. These are 4 areas we believe leaders must focus on. We also have 4 disciplines that we teach: interrupting instinct, conscious behaviour, third position, and picturing. And when we look at negotiation, we recognise that the areas of authority and presence and conversation control are particularly important, and of the disciplines, interrupting instinct, conscious behaviour, and third position are key. So the first of our 2 skill areas is authority and presence. People who are seen to have authority and presence tend to speak lower, speak slower, and say less. They take control of their tempo and pitch and choose what they're going to say before they say it. We talk about the power of silence, those momentary interrupts that both help with conscious choice, but also, in fact, increase the image of authority and presence. The second skill area is conversation control, and here we remind leaders that there are 3 questions they must be asking themselves in any conversation, particularly during negotiations, and that's: where's the conversation, where do I want it to be, and how do I move it? And to help with that, we give leaders a map. We use a simple map because we know having a picture or a label for something dramatically increases both the probability and the speed of interrupting an instinct and being able to operate consciously. In its simplest form, the conversation map has 4 quadrants built on 2 axes of general and specific, and problem focus and solution focus. Our leaders or negotiators are constantly asking themselves, where's this conversation at the moment? Where do I want it to be? How do I move it? But it's behaviours they use to move the conversation from one place to another, rather than letting the conversation drift aimlessly. The absolute core of behavioural intelligence is being able to choose your next behaviour and make that a conscious choice. To help our leaders and indeed our negotiators do that, we teach a classification of behaviours with 4 classes. These are initiating, they're about getting things moving; clarifying behaviours, which are designed to increase understanding; reacting behaviours, these are about evaluating others' behaviours and responding; and controlling behaviours, which are about managing information flow. Now, within the scope of this FasterClass, we can quite simply only describe the names for these behaviours and give very small examples. So under initiating behaviours, we've got making proposals, seeking proposals, building and directing. They're all about getting things moving or keeping things moving. Making proposals is about making a suggestion of what to do next, and that's a push behaviour. Seeking proposals would be about getting other people to come up with proposals, saying something like, has anybody got any ideas what we could do next? And that's a pull behaviour. You may remember in conversation control, we talked about push versus pull. Building is a very important behaviour. It's about taking somebody else's idea or contribution and adding to it. It's very important in negotiations because it actually shows you're listening. And it also, in teams and groups, shows that a team or group is indeed working as a team because they are adding to each other's ideas. And then directing is like making proposals, but offering less choice. You simply tell somebody what to do. None of these behaviours is necessarily right or wrong. Too much directing, you might get the reputation for being pushy, arrogant, overbearing, and so conscious behaviour control is about thinking what would be the right behaviour to choose from the menu. Let's move on and look at clarifying behaviours. 4 behaviours again: giving information, that's information coming out from you, a push behaviour; seeking information, which is, for example, asking a question, but you could just give a puzzled look as a facial expression and be doing seeking information behavior. And then summarizing and testing understanding. Very similar behaviors. In practice, summarizing is about restating in compact form what's been said already. Testing understanding adds in your checking of your own or somebody else's understanding. As we'll see in later faster classes, summarizing particularly important because it does all sorts of things for your trust scores, your openness scores, and also can be your best friend when you're not sure where to go next. Reacting behaviors. Perhaps just a moment to remind you that behaviors are things you say or do. These are not your thoughts and feelings. As human beings with our more developed brains, we can actually separate our thoughts and feelings from what we say or do. We can act brave when we feel frightened. We can act calm when we're actually very angry. In the reacting behaviors, we're probably getting closest to talking about thoughts and feelings, and indeed disclosing, the first on the list, is doing something or saying something that lets people know what your feelings are at this particular point. So saying something like, I'm really happy that we're getting somewhere, is a way of letting people know how you are feeling. Equally, saying, I'm so fed up with going round and round in circles, would again be an example showing how you are feeling about the current situation. As an aside, it was believed that the most successful negotiators used the least disclosing behaviours. They were poker-faced. In fact, the very reverse is true. Supporting could be called agreeing. It has the extra piece in here that if you were to show your agreement for somebody else's thought or idea, it also shows whose side you're on. So saying something like, I've got to agree with Toby here, I think we should stop at 6, lets people know that if they're in a vote, you'd be with Toby. Disagreeing is the opposite. That's showing a disagreement against an idea, but it's also closely linked but completely different to attack-defend. Attack-defend behaviour is directed at the person, whereas disagreeing is aimed at the thought, idea or principle. We said before that none of these behaviours is necessarily wrong or right. Attack-defend is probably the most difficult one to actually justify as being valuable or useful in negotiations. And part of our teaching is teaching negotiators to interrupt instinct and not to get into the attack-defend spiral. And then the last of the 4 classes, the controlling behaviours, managing information flow. There's only 2, bringing in and shutting out. Bringing in means bringing somebody into the conversation that you feel is not making a contribution. And shutting out is reducing somebody's opportunity to contribute. Interrupting, if you will, but there are more elegant ways of shutting out. Saying something like, Stephen, we've not heard from you on this, could be seen as seeking information, but its prime purpose is to bring in. Okay, thanks, Stephen, I think we've heard enough on that, would be an example of a shutting out behaviour. So those are the 4 classes of behaviour and the 14 behaviours. And as we said before, this is absolutely key to being able to interrupt instinct, operate consciously, and decide what to do next. This is the heart of behavioural intelligence. And so we spend quite some time teaching our leaders, negotiators, to operate consciously and be able to choose from the menu of behaviours as a conscious decision rather than just going too fast into doing what they always do. So, in behavioural intelligence, the skilled practitioner learns to listen to what's being said and label the behaviours and make that conscious decision about what to say or do next and how to move the conversation. So you might quickly look at these behaviours, these contributions in a meeting or a negotiation, and ask yourself how quickly could you identify which of these is giving information? Which of these is making a proposal? Which of these is seeking a proposal? And where in amongst all this is one of those attack-defend behaviours that we teach negotiators to avoid using themselves and certainly to interrupt their instinct and not respond to? Do have a look on our website. You'll find more information, example articles, resources such as worksheets to help you remember the 14 behaviours, or indeed make contact with us if you have a particular question. We'd be very happy to help. So again, this is Clive Hook from Clearworth, thanking you for your time and hoping you found this useful.